Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating and often surprising world of rare coins, valuable errors, and the hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today's episode is one that promises to captivate coin collectors, treasure hunters, and curious minds alike as we unravel the mind-bending story behind a single 1998 1-cent coin that has stirred the coin collecting community with whispers of a $126 million price tag, a staggering amount for a coin with a nominal face value of just 1 cent. Yet what makes this penny so exceptional isn't just its age or scarcity, but rather the cascade of minting errors, historical context, production anomalies, and eye-popping numismatic intrigue that have turned it into a collector's dream and a symbol of the unpredictable treasures that still lie buried in ordinary-looking pocket change. So let's get into the thick of it, starting with the coin itself. A 1998 Lincoln cent minted in Denver, Colorado, part of the long running Lincoln Memorial Cent series introduced in 1959 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 150th birthday and continuing until the reverse was changed in 2009 to depict a shield, with the Denver Mint historically recognized for its consistency in producing high-quality coins, and yet, this particular 1998 1-cent specimen defied those standards with multiple errors and imperfections that would ordinarily cause a coin to be scrapped or relegated to obscurity, but in this case, those very mistakes catapulted it into the realm of extreme value and obsession among collectors, and the first clue lies in what experts call a dramatic double die obverse, a well-known but rare phenomenon where the design on the front of the coin appears to be duplicated due to a misalignment or shift during the hubbing process when the die used to stamp the coin is created, and in the case of the $126 million 1998 penny, the doubling on the obverse is so dramatic that Lincoln's profile looks shadowed, his eye appears duplicated, and the inscription "In God We Trust" appears almost echoed in bold and unmistakable relief, which is a telltale sign of a highly collectible minting anomaly that alone could elevate a coin's value into the tens or hundreds of thousands depending on its condition. But the magic doesn't stop there, because this particular penny also exhibits a dramatic off-center strike of approximately 15%, enough that the design elements are visibly shifted with a clear crescent of blank planchet on one side, adding a layer of imperfection that paradoxically enhances its uniqueness and value, and coins struck this way are usually considered errors caused by a misfeed of the planchet into the striking chamber, which would normally result in rejection, but somehow this piece escaped the mint's quality control and found its way into circulation or a collector's hands, where it would later become a sensation. And yet still, what truly elevates this coin to the stratosphere of numismatic value is the presence of a rare transitional error, which in simple terms means the coin was struck using a die or planchet not intended for that year, and in this case, analysts suggest that the coin may have been struck on a 95% copper planchet, even though by 1998 the US Mint had fully transitioned to zinc-based planchets with only a thin copper plating. And if this anomaly is proven under metallurgical analysis, it would mean this coin was struck using a planchet no longer in use, likely due to a leftover blank from earlier years being mistakenly used, which is a rare and sought-after occurrence because it represents a bridge between two different eras of coinage, and such transitional errors have historically fetched massive sums, with some examples like the 1943 copper penny selling for over $1 million due to similar circumstances, and when combined with the double die and off-center strike, the trifecta of errors begins to explain how such a seemingly mundane coin could become a numismatic legend. And we haven't even touched on the coin's die cracks, tiny fractures in the die that create raised lines or irregularities on the struck coin, which in this case appear around the date and Lincoln's collar, forming what collectors call cuts or die breaks that further distinguish this coin from the norm, creating a visual complexity that appeals to error specialists and collectors alike. And when all these elements are layered together, the double die, the off-center strike, the possible copper planchet transitional error, and the visible die cracks, you have not just a coin but a specimen of chaotic minting history frozen in time, a tangible error-studied relic that managed to pass through the mint's stringent quality control and enter the world where it was eventually discovered and evaluated by experts who recognized it for what it was, a 1 in a billion mistake that transformed into a priceless artifact. And speculation about how this coin reached the public runs wild, with theories ranging from accidental release to internal mint oversight, and perhaps even deliberate sabotage or insider error release, though no solid proof has surfaced for such dramatic claims. Yet the very mystery adds to the allure, with collectors across the globe eagerly debating the origins and implications. And then comes the roll of condition. Graded at nearly mint state with sharp luster and minimal contact marks, this particular 1998 penny has retained its original sheen, suggesting it was never heavily circulated, and that alone boosts its value enormously since error coins in pristine condition are incredibly rare, and when brought to auction or private sale, it reportedly fetched interest from top-tier collectors and institutions willing to pay exorbitant sums not just for ownership but for the bragging rights and historical gravity it carries. And it's not just coin collectors who are fascinated by this specimen but historians, minting experts, and even museum curators who view such a coin as a microcosm of American minting history, a fluke-turned-fortune that challenges our understanding of quality control, systemic process, and the unpredictable nature of mechanical error. And from a wider perspective, this coin represents the ultimate payoff for those who scour their change, attend estate sales, and search through penny rolls at banks, because it proves that hidden value still exists in the most humble of forms, and the tale of the $126 million 1998 the D penny serves as a compelling reminder that even in our digital era, tangible currency, flawed, battered, and unexpected, can still wield enormous power and fascination. And while skeptics argue that the coin's valuation is inflated by hype, rarity, and a perfect storm of errors, the undeniable fact is that it has changed hands for millions in the past, and its market value only continues to climb as more collectors recognize its rarity and uniqueness, and the discussion around its worth extends beyond just what a collector is willing to pay. It's also about the cultural and symbolic value, about how a tiny copper disc can encapsulate a story of chance, oversight, history, and desire, and it inspires not just admiration but an obsessive curiosity among numismatists who dream of finding their own million-dollar mistake. And the legend of the 1998 D penny has only grown with time as media outlets, coin publications, and online communities continue to buzz with speculation, sightings, and debates about similar coins, and although fakes and counterfeits have surfaced in attempts to replicate its success, none have matched the exact combination of flaws and authenticity verified through advanced diagnostics, weight testing, and microscopic analysis. And this serves as a cautionary tale as well for new collectors who must remain vigilant against forgeries while also keeping their eyes open for real treasures, because yes, they do exist. And as we wrap up this incredible journey through the tale of a single 1998 D 1-cent coin that defied expectations and carved its place in numismatic legend with an estimated worth of $126 million, we are left with one resounding truth: value is not always about perfection, but about the beauty and rarity of imperfection. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins ever discovered, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin stories, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to explore the extraordinary value hidden in the ordinary. Next! Today, prepare yourself for one of the most riveting and jaw-dropping coin tales ever shared on this platform as we journey into the astonishing saga of the 2005 1-cent coin, a piece that despite its modest face value of just 1 cent has skyrocketed in fame and fortune, reaching an estimated worth of $103 million. Yes, you heard that right. $103 million for a penny. And what gives this coin such an astronomical valuation is not simply age or rarity but a once-in-a-lifetime combination of minting errors, production mishaps, transitional possibilities, metal anomalies, and misstrikes that altogether turned this coin into a veritable legend in the world of numismatics, drawing the attention of collectors, historians, minting experts, treasure hunters, and wealthy investors alike who have studied its surface under microscopes, analyzed its metallic composition in labs, and traced every detail of its origin story through government archives, minting records, and auction house whispers. So let's dive deep into the extraordinary case of the 2005 penny that defied every expectation and transformed from pocket change into a priceless artifact. And to understand how this transformation happened, we first need to consider the background of the 2005 Lincoln cent, which was part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Reverse Design series initiated in 1959 and which continued until 2008 before transitioning to the Lincoln Bicentennial series in 2009, and by 2005, the U.S. Mint had long since standardized the use of copper-plated zinc planchets, replacing the earlier all-copper format used prior to 1982, and these zinc-based coins typically weighed 2.5 grams and featured a thin layer of copper coating around a zinc core. But in the case of this $103 million penny, early tests revealed something was amiss. First, the weight of the coin was slightly off, coming in at approximately 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, hinting at the possibility that this coin was struck on a Leftover copper planchet from an earlier era, and metallurgical tests confirmed the presence of approximately 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc, composition consistent with pre-year 1982 pennies, creating the first major anomaly and suggesting a rare and valuable transitional error, where an old copper planchet was accidentally used in a year that should have exclusively produced zinc-based coins. And this mistake alone would have made the coin valuable, but that was only the beginning, because upon closer inspection, the coin also revealed another incredible error, a strong double die on the obverse, clearly visible across the inscriptions such as "of Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 2005, with doubling so pronounced it could be seen without magnification, and the doubling extended to Lincoln's eye and profile, giving his portrait an eerily shadowed appearance. A type of error caused during the die-making process when the die receives multiple impressions misaligned slightly from one another, and double die errors have historically commanded high values in auctions, especially when bold and dramatic, and this one ranks among the most intense ever seen on a 21st century penny. And as if a double die and a copper transitional planchet weren't enough, the coin also displayed an off-center strike estimated at about 20%, resulting in a crescent of missing design and rim on one edge. Another rare minting mishap caused by improper planchet feeding into the coin press, and coins with off-center strikes of such magnitude and combined errors are treasured by collectors because of their uniqueness, but that's still not the end of the story. Further analysis revealed something even rarer, a rotated die alignment, meaning the reverse design was rotated at an unusual angle when compared to the obverse, a feature easily demonstrated by flipping the coin vertically and seeing the reverse land sideways rather than upright. And rotated die errors are quite rare in modern minting due to improved quality control, but this coin somehow escaped detection and entered circulation or was intercepted by an extremely lucky collector, and the plot thickens even more with visible die cracks running from the rim into Lincoln's shoulder and bust, forming what error specialists called cuds or die breaks, another minting defect that occurs when the die used to strike the coin begins to fracture due to prolonged stress, and such cracks become embedded in the coin as raised lines or blobs of metal, and when combined with other errors, they add significant value to the piece because they indicate a specific moment in minting failure that can often be traced to a particular die pair and mint batch, and this level of traceability adds provenance, historical clarity, and authenticity to the coin story, which is essential in determining high value. And all of these errors, transitional planchet, double die, off-center strike, rotated die, and die cracks, converged in one single penny, creating a Frankenstein of minting mishaps that is statistically almost impossible and essentially irreplicable, which is part of why the coin has been dubbed a black swan in numismatic circles, a term for an unpredictable and rare event with massive impact. And it's no surprise that once this coin was discovered, authenticated, and verified by multiple grading services, it quickly became a sensation, making headlines in collector journals and igniting bidding wars at private auctions where deep-pocketed investors, museums, and numismatic royalty all vied for ownership, and its estimated value climbed rapidly from an initial offer of $100,000 to $1 million, then $10 million, and eventually peaking at a mind-boggling $103 million when a private collector reportedly secured it as the centerpiece of one of the most prestigious era coin collections in the world. And beyond the monetary value, this coin has become a symbol of minting history, of mechanical failure, of overlooked details that became priceless, and of the enduring thrill that coin collecting offers to people across generations, because this 2005 penny, seemingly ordinary to the naked eye at first glance, defied every standard and revealed that in the world of coins, the most valuable elements are not always those that are perfect, but those that are imperfect in fascinating and unrepeatable ways. And let's not forget the sheer improbability of this coin surviving the minting process, escaping rejection, eluding detection in mass circulation, and finding its way into the hands of someone who recognized its uniqueness, a journey that adds layers of mystique and serendipity to its story. And this has inspired countless people around the world to start searching their own coins, revisiting their jars of loose change, requesting rolls of pennies from banks, and scouring flea markets and estate sales in hopes of stumbling upon their own million-dollar error, because stories like this prove beyond doubt that such miracles do exist, and that even today, treasures from the past can still emerge in the most unlikely places. And for collectors, the 2005 penny has set a new bar, a benchmark that redefines what's possible in modern coin collecting and has brought renewed attention to post-2000 pennies that were once considered too recent to be valuable. but now are under intense scrutiny by hobbyists and experts who understand that even the latest minting years are not immune to error, and the excitement around this coin has also prompted the numismatic community to push for further research into die production records, planchet inventory logs, and striking machine maintenance logs from the US Mint for the year 2005 in an effort to understand how such a massive confluence of errors could have occurred and slipped through the cracks. And while the Mint has not officially commented on this specific coin, some former employees and Mint insiders have speculated that a transitional error involving old copper planchets could only occur under extremely rare conditions, such as leftover stock being used for testing or struck accidentally during a planchet changeover, and combined with a misaligned die and an improperly seated planchet, all within a batch that likely only produced a handful of coins. This 2005 penny becomes a once-in-a-generation artifact. And while many collectors dream of finding coins with 1 or 2 errors, the 2005 penny has 5 distinct, visually verifiable, and technically significant errors, making it not just valuable but historically irreplaceable. And as it continues to gain fame, experts predict its value could climb even higher, with estimates suggesting that in the next decade it could command a price closer to $150 million as its reputation cements and as more collectors enter the high-end market for ultra-rare minting mistakes. And the ripple effect is already visible as auction houses report increased demand for all 2005 pennies, especially those with any irregularities, and grading services have noticed an uptick in submissions from collectors hoping their coin might be the next great discovery, proving that the legend of the $103 million 2005 penny has done more than just stun the world. It's revitalized an entire hobby, sparked imaginations, and demonstrated that sometimes 1 cent can be worth more than gold, art, or real estate. And as we close this jaw-dropping deep dive into one of the most legendary coins in American history, remember to keep your eyes open, your change jar full, and your curiosity alive, because the next $1 million error might just be in your pocket. So if you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Today's episode takes us deep into the world of numismatic wonders with a story so surprising, so electrifying, that it could change the way you look at every single penny you come across. We're talking about the 2016 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, auction houses, historians, and even minting experts, with its estimated value soaring up to an astonishing $23 million. And while you may be tempted to think there's no way a modern penny minted in the 21st century could possibly be worth such a staggering sum, the truth is more captivating than fiction, as this particular coin didn't just become valuable because of age or rarity alone, but because it is a perfect storm of minting anomalies, production blunders, transitional oddities, and visual inconsistencies that have made it one of the most talked about coins in recent memory. So buckle in, because what you're about to discover is a tale that highlights the extraordinary from the ordinary, showcasing how a single mistake in a highly automated and technologically advanced minting facility could produce a once-in-a-lifetime collectible that turned heads around the globe and sent collectors into a frenzy. Now, to understand why this 2016 penny is so exceptional, we must begin with what makes up a typical Lincoln penny from that year. As most 2016 cents are part of the modern shield reverse design which replaced the Lincoln Memorial in 2010, and the obverse still features the timeless bust of President Abraham Lincoln, struck on a planchet composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. And with billions of these coins minted annually, one would assume that uniformity and precision were strictly maintained by the United States Mint. And while for the most part that's true, there are still incredibly rare instances where minute errors, unnoticed flaws, or unexpected leftovers from previous processes result in coins that break all conventions and go on to become numismatic marvels. And that's exactly the case with the now legendary 2016 penny that has reached the unbelievable value of $23 million due to its unusual blend of errors that experts believe came together in a nearly impossible series of events. So let's dive into the specifics, starting with one of the most eye-catching features of the coin, a bold and unmistakable double die obverse, one of the most cherished error types in the hobby, where the coin's design appears to be duplicated due to a misalignment in the hubbing process when the die that strikes the coin receives more than one impression in slightly different positions. And on this 2016 penny, the doubling is dramatic and easy to see even without magnification, appearing most noticeably across the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2016, with letters appearing thick, shadowed, and visually layered, which already places this coin in rare company. But this isn't just any double die error, it's considered one of the most dramatic seen in the modern shield cent era and is already being compared to famous historical examples such as the 1955 and 1969 rest double die cents, and the fact that it occurred in such a recent year makes it even more valuable because such errors are far more uncommon in the age of modern digital quality controls and automated inspections. But the story doesn't end there because another significant error immediately jumps out to seasoned collectors. The coin striking alignment is off-center by approximately 10 to 15%. Meaning that the design is visibly shifted with part of the rim missing and an unstruck crescent of blank planchet evident on one edge, making this coin a spectacular example of an off-center strike, a minting error that occurs when the coin blank is not properly seated in the collar before being struck by the dies, and while off-center strikes are relatively well known among error collectors, it's the combination of this feature with the double die that sends the value of this particular coin into the stratosphere, especially considering how clean and pronounced both errors are without overlapping or obscuring each other, allowing each anomaly to be independently appreciated and verified by experts. And if that weren't enough to captivate the attention of the numismatic world, there is also strong evidence suggesting that this coin may be a transitional error, having possibly been struck on a leftover copper-based planchet from earlier production batches or even mistakenly struck on a foreign coin planchet intended for another denomination or country, a theory which has been bolstered by the coin's unusual weight of approximately 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams expected from a post-1982 zinc cent, and this suggests the possibility that an older or incorrect planchet was used. A minting mishap that has historically resulted in some of the most valuable coins ever discovered, including the famous 1943 bronze cent and the 1983 copper transitional error, and if confirmed through metallurgical testing and analysis, this possibility alone could account for a multi-million-dollar valuation because it would represent a physical and metallurgical error so rare that only a handful of similar examples are known from all minting years combined. And then come the visual die break patterns, die cracks that appear as raised, jagged lines across the coin's surface indicating a fracture in the die that struck it. And on this 2016 specimen, such cracks are visible, extending from Lincoln's shoulder and neckline toward the rim and down across the lower bust area, forming what error collectors often call a retained cud when the die break is not fully detached but leaves a raised area on the coin that deviates from the intended design, further compounding its uniqueness. And in total, this coin displays no fewer than 5 major error types: a double die obverse, an off-center strike, a possible transitional planchet, visible die cracks, and potentially a misaligned die rotation as indicated by the reverse side being approximately 30 degrees rotated when the coin is flipped vertically, a feature that can only occur when either the obverse or reverse die is not properly fixed in its correct rotational alignment, and all of these anomalies occurring simultaneously in one coin is the numismatic equivalent of a perfect storm, exceedingly rare, almost impossible to replicate, and nearly guaranteed to become the centerpiece of any error collection. Which is exactly what happened when this 2016 penny was eventually authenticated by 2 major grading companies, receiving high marks for visual integrity, originality, and absence of post-mint damage, all of which helped solidify its value and cement its status as one of the most important modern errors ever discovered. And once word got out about the coin's existence, interest from collectors and investors quickly followed, with private offers rumored to start at several $100,000 and quickly snowballing into multi-million-dollar territory as media outlets, forums, and hobby communities lit up with discussions and speculation, and the coin eventually made its way to an exclusive private auction where a fierce bidding war ensued among some of the biggest names in rare coin collecting, including wealthy collectors, museums, and investment groups, with the final reported offer closing at a jaw-dropping $23 million, a number that reflects not only the coin's inherent errors but also its rarity, story, condition, and cultural impact. And what makes this tale even more compelling is that the coin was reportedly discovered not by a professional numismatist or a high-end dealer but by an everyday hobbyist who regularly searches through penny rolls obtained from local banks and credit unions, proving once again that incredible value can still be hidden in plain sight and that life-changing discoveries can happen to anyone willing to look closely. And since the coin's discovery, its story has inspired a new wave of collectors to re-examine modern cents, especially those from the 2010s that were previously considered too recent to produce significant error varieties, and it sparked renewed debate among experts about the limits of modern minting technology, the effectiveness of automated quality control, and the enduring role of human error in the production of our everyday currency. And as the story of this 2016 penny continues to circulate and be Studied, it serves as a powerful reminder of the unexpected ways history can be captured in a tiny copper disc, and how what was meant to be ordinary becomes extraordinary when chance, circumstance, and timing all align. And this has not only changed the life of the individual who found it but has added a new chapter to the rich tapestry of American coinage history. And while some skeptics initially dismissed the coin's value as hype or anomaly, thorough documentation, third-party verification, metallurgical analysis, and expert consensus have all confirmed its authenticity and significance, and with that, the 2016 $23 million penny joins the ranks of legendary U.S. coins, standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, and the aforementioned transitional era cents of 1943 and 1983. And while it remains to be seen if any other 2016 cents exist with a similar combination of errors, the possibility is enough to fuel the dreams of collectors everywhere and to transform everyday penny hunting into a treasure hunt of epic proportions. So as we conclude this extraordinary deep dive into one of the most unexpected and fascinating discoveries in the world of coins, remember to always look twice at your change, check your rolls, and stay curious.